Dear students, welcome to Insight Academy. I know all of you are eager to know the answers of the questions asked today by UPSC in your GS paper 1. We have made these sessions subject by subject. I hope you have gone through the videos of other subjects like polity, geography, environment, science and technology, and your economy. Here, I'm going to discuss all the questions related to history and culture which were asked today in GS paper 1. I'll discuss all the answers, why are the answers correct, and wherever questions are difficult, I'll discuss the source also. I'll tell you the reference source so that you can be 100% assured that the key which I'm sharing here with you is correct, and if you have marked that answer right or wrong, you can calculate your marks accurately. Let's just start the session here. If you look at the nature of questions here, questions are from all the segments. You have questions from ancient India. You have questions from medieval India. Those questions could be such as Phanom. Those questions could be about Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Then you have questions about Mughals here. You have questions about modern India. And you have questions from South India also. So all the 4 segments of Indian history have been covered quite equitable manner in today's paper. So you can't afford to neglect anything of them. And the kind of paper which you have seen today, that is a bit difficult than the normal years. So in this kind of difficult paper, 1 or 2 questions here and there will have a huge difference. So pay attention, let us discuss all the questions of history and culture. This is set number A, which I am discussing here. So question number is given here, but you also can get the help from the set A. This is set A, or these questions are from set A. The first question here, the 51, that is from history culture. In the Government of India Act 1919, the functions of provincial government were divided into reserved and transferred subjects. So this is related to the issue of diarchy. System of diarchy was introduced by the Government of India Act 1919 at provincial level. Diarchy means the government of 2, and in this system of diarchy, some subjects were put in transferred category and some other subjects were kept in reserved category. The subjects of greater importance were put in reserved category. They were to be administered by governor with the help of his executive council, and subjects of lesser importance were put in transferred category. They were to be administered by governor with the help of a council of ministers. So this was the arrangement created at provincial level by the Act of 1919. So what were these subjects which were part of, let's say, a reserved category, or which were treated as reserved subject? Justice. Local self-government was part of transferred category. Land revenue, police, budget, prison management, education of Anglo-Indians, irrigation, all those kind of subjects were part of reserved category. In transferred category, subjects were like local self-governance, health, sanitation, agriculture, education of Indians. So those kind of subjects were put in transfer category. So here 1, 3 and 4 subjects were part of reserved category. Let us see the answer here. 1, 3 and 4, that is C. So it's very easy. If you know it, this question I'll treat as a moderately difficult, not a difficult, though it's direct. If you know it, you can do it easily. And most of the students, they read such kind of questions in detail. Next, in the medieval India, the term Phanom refers to. So Phanom was a coin. This is a coin, Vijayanagar times coin. This was continued by Travancore also. So Phanom was a coin. Again, very direct, but if you know it, you know it. If you don't know it, it becomes very difficult. So this is a factual question. Phanom was a coin. One example of Vijayanagar Phanom. Consider following freedom fighters: Barindra Kumar Ghosh, Yogesh Chand Chatterjee, Ras Bihari Bose, who of the above were actively associated with Gadar Party or Gadar movement. Gadar Party or Gadar movement was started in 1913 by Lala Hardayal, Sohan Singh Bakhna and others in San Francisco. And then they organized their activities in India also. They tried to overthrow the British rule by using force, or they tried to liberate India from British colonial rule by using force. So out of this question, I'll put this in a difficult category because this is again quite deep. You have to know about each and every person, whoever is mentioned here. So Ras Bihari Bose was actively involved in Gadar party activities. Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee, Barindra Kumar Ghosh, they were not part of Gadar movement, part of Gadar party in any way. Though Gadarites tried to recruit as many as possible from Bengal, Bose was also from Bengal, and they were also active in Bengal of that time, but they were not part of Gadar in any way, either directly or indirectly. So 3 is the only answer, that is D. 54. With reference to proposals of Cripps Mission, consider the following statements. The Constituent Assembly would have members nominated by provincial assemblies. So Cripps' plan, announced in 1942, suggested or put forward a system of election of Constituent Assembly. As per Cripps' proposal, a Constituent Assembly would be set up after the end of the war. The formula to be used was also proposed here, and the formula was that provincial assemblies would elect, not nominate. Provincial assemblies would elect members for the Constituent Assembly. The states, princely states, would nominate. The representatives of princely states were to be nominated. The representatives of British Indian provinces were to be elected by the members of provincial assemblies. So this nomination issue is a problem here. The members of provinces were not nominated, they were elected. So first statement here is wrong. Any province which is not prepared to accept the new constitution would have the right to sign a separate agreement with the British government of Britain. So this is correct. The provinces were given the right to accept or reject new constitution. And it was provided that they could sign, they could enter into a treaty, they could sign an agreement with the British government to cover issues if they decide to reject the new constitution here. So second number is correct here, first number is wrong, option is, so you have to see which of these correct, you have to choose the correct one. So instructions you have to read very carefully, and second is correct, so option is B. 55. With reference to Indian history, consider following text. Niti Pakarna, Parishishta Parvana, Avadana Shatak, and Trishashi Lakshana Mahapurana. Which of these were Jaina text? Niti Prakarana was a Buddhist text, or it is a Buddhist book. Avadana Shataka is also a Buddhist book. Parishishta Parvana is a Jaina book written by Hemchandra. Hemchandra was in the court of Kumarpala Chalukya in 12th century. And Shashtika Lakshana Mahapurana was written by Jinsena. Jinsena was also a famous Jaina scholar in ancient times. So 2 and 4 are Jaina, 1 and 3 are Buddhist. So 1 and 3 are not part of the Jaina literature. Answer is 2 and 4. Option is B. 56. With reference to Indian history, consider following pairs. Aryadev, Jaina scholar. Aryadev was a Buddhist scholar, not a Jaina scholar. He was a Buddhist scholar. Dignag was a Buddhist scholar, related to Madhyamika sect. Nath Muni was a famous Vaishnava scholar in 10th century, and he was the author of Nal Ira Divya Prabandham, a very famous book. This Nal Ira Divya Prabandham contains the teachings of Alwar saints. So there were Alwar saints in ancient times in the Pallava kingdom. They promoted Vaishnava Bhakti. Their teachings were compiled in 10th century by Nath Muni. He was the first Acharya in the tradition of Acharyas. Nath Muni, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, all those were part of the later tradition. So Nath Muni was a famous Vaishnava scholar. 2 and 3 are correct. So 2 pairs. This is a new format UPSC has started this year. This kind of format was not there earlier. So how many pairs are correctly matched? Only 2 pairs are correctly matched, 2 and 3. That is C. 57. With reference to Indian history, consider following statements. The first Mongol invasion of India happened during the reign of, not Jalaluddin Khilji. Invasions took place during the reign of Behram Shah. Behram Shah was in 1240s. After that, when there was Nasruddin Mahmud, a major portion of northwestern India fell under the control of Mongols. Then came Balban. Balban also faced a lot of Mongol invasions and he created strong arrangements. Then came Jalaluddin Khilji. He also faced Mongol invasion, but this was not first time. So first time India faced the threat of Mongols was during the reign of Iltutmish. That time there was no invasion, but Genghis Khan reached Indian frontiers while chasing the Prince of Central Asia, Jalaluddin Maghbarni. Point number 2, during the reign of Alauddin Khilji, one Mongol assault marched up to Delhi. In 1303, Alauddin was sitting in his fort, Siri Fort. His army was outside Delhi, that was for the going for the conquest of Chittor in 1303. And that time, more than 1 lakh Mongols reached Delhi and they sat around the fort for 6 months. The Mongols did not know how to capture the fort, but Sultan was under extremely serious threat. The army from Rajasthan returned and then only Mongols ran away. So that was a very severe threat. That happened in 1303. Muhammad bin Tughlaq temporarily lost portions of northwestern part of his kingdom to Mongols. During the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, there was no serious Mongol threat. Who lost territories? Behram Shah, Alauddin Masud Shah, Nasruddin Mahmud. So those sultans temporarily lost a part of northwestern portion of Delhi Sultanate to Mongols, not Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So only 2 is correct here. Option B. 58. With reference to Indian history, which of the following were known as Kula Dharan? Kula means cap. Dharan means wearer, cap wearer. And these were a group of religious scholars related to Islam known as Sayyids. So Sayyids were known as Kula Dharan. This is again very factual, very in depth, and that's why I brought a source for you here. Sayyids were recognized by their respective headdress or by their distinguished headdress, cap or kula, and were known as Kula Dharan, cap wearers. So this is about cap wearers. Sayyids, they're part of Muslim theologian class. Kula Dharan, cap wearer. Difficult, factual. So such kind of questions have to be avoided because very few will have the answer to this question. This is a crude, very deep fact. Question number 59. With reference to Indian history, consider following statements. The Dutch established their factories, warehouses on East Coast on the land granted to them by Gajapati rulers. Gajapati rulers were over by 1541. The last Gajapati ruler died in 1541 and the Dutch reached India in 1602. So there was no interaction, there was no dealing between Dutch and the Gajapatis. They got from the Gangas, not Gajapatis. So first one is wrong here. Alphonse d'Albuquerque captured Goa from Bijapur in 1510 AD. That is correct. The English East India Company established a factory at Madras on a plot of land released from a representative of Vijayanagar Empire. That is correct. Because the Raja of Chandragiri was a feudatory of Vijayanagar Empire. He donated or he transferred or he gave the land on which city of Madras came up in 1639. So 2 and 3 are correct here. 2 and 3, option is B. 60. According to Kautilya's Arthashastra, which of the following are correct? Again, a very difficult question, very factual, and most of the students are likely to take it wrong. Let us see. A person could be a slave as a result of judicial punishment. Kautilya mentions or describes 9 types of slaves. And one of the slave was slavery due to punishment. That's correct. If a female slave bore their master a son or even a daughter, she was legally free. She was manumitted. And she was legally freed along with her kid, along with her relatives, mother, father, sisters also. That was the condition. And also the source here. This is a cutting from Arthashastra. If a son born to a female slave was fathered by her master, the son was entitled to the legal status of master's son. This is also correct here. If this slave that was manumitted because she bore a kid to the master, if she decided to stay, she decided to live with the master, now she was no longer a slave, she was considered a normal wife equal to the other wife, and her son was also considered Arya. Her son was considered equal to the other sons of that particular gentleman from other wives. So let's have a look at the source here. This is a difficult, so you'll need to have source. Look at the line here. She gave birth to a male child from her master, then she along with her child were manumitted. Manumitted means liberated. Not only she, but her mother, sisters and brothers were also manumitted. So everybody from her family was liberated. They were no longer considered as slaves. If she chose to live in the house of the master, the son begotten in such a manner was regarded as an Arya, and he enjoyed share of property of his father, like the other sons from Aryan wives. So this is a direct reference, elaborate reference about slavery and the status of the products of a master-slave relationship in Kautilya's Arthashastra. It's a difficult question. Hardly any student would have read it before exam, but this is the game you call UPSC. So all the 3 points here are correct. This is source, a direct cutting from Arthashastra. 91, consider following pairs. Dholi is in Odisha, Dholi Jogada, where we have Ashokan Major Aqueduct. Dholi is also famous for Dholi elephant. So Jogada is not in MP, Jogada is in Odisha. Arigudi is in Andhra Pradesh, Kurnool district, correct. Kalsi is in Uttarakhand near Dehradun. 1 and 2 are correct, so only 2 pairs are correct. Option is B. 92. Consider following pairs. Nanuka. Nanuka was the founder of Chandela dynasty of Bundelkhand, correct. Jayasakti was also related to Chandela dynasty, 9th king of Chandela dynasty, so not correctly matched. Nagbhat was Gurjar Pratihara king of Beenmal, and Parmar Bhoj. Bhoj was a Parmara king. There was a Bhoj Gurjar Pratihara also, but there was no Rashtrakuta Bhoj. So 4 is wrong, 2 is wrong, 1 and 3 are correct. So only how many pairs are correctly matched? So how many pairs are correctly matched here? Only 2 pairs. This is wrong and that is correct. 1 and 3, only 2 pairs are correctly matched. Option is B. 93. Which of the following statements about Sangam literature in ancient India is correct? Sangam poems are devoid of any reference to material culture. It's wrong. Why it's wrong? Because Sangam literature talks elaborately about agriculture, industries, trade, crafts, about taxation system, about the economic conditions of people. So they knew, or the Sangam poems have a lot of reference of material culture or economic activities. The social classification of Varna was known to Sangam poets. Let us first see, this is C option. Sangam poems have no reference to warrior ethics. Sangam poems have reference to warrior ethics. If a commander lost the battle, then he was supposed to bend on his knee, he was supposed to make a wound on his neck with his own sword, and he was supposed to die of hunger. So that was kind of expected, that was ethical behavior from the defeated commanders. Those who lost their life in their honor, hero stones, Virakal, Nadakal, were erected in Sangam age. So there was a very well developed system of warrior ethics. Sangam literature refers to magical forces as irrational. This is also wrong. Magical forces are mentioned here. They were worshipping a stone, planets, trees. Animism was there, and it was not termed as irrational. It was a popular form of religion among Tamils in Sangam age. Now look at the option number B here. The social classification of Varna was known to Sangam poets. This is perfectly all right. Very easy if you read it seriously. Now look at who was the head of first Sangam. The head of first Sangam was Saint Agastya. Agastya Rishi was a Vedic Aryan. He was a Brahmana. Agastya Rishi went from North India to South. Agastya Rishi is considered to be the first Aryan to cross Vindhyas. So he was an Aryan Brahmana. Once he was living in North India, it means he was aware of Varna system. And he was the head of first Sangam. It means these Sangam poets were aware of Varna system. This question is not saying that Varna system was followed in society in Sangam age. Varna system was not followed in society in Sangam age. But these poets were aware of Varna system because these early poets, or many of these early poets, they had migrated from north to south. So option here is B, 93B. 94, Yoga Vasistha. Yoga Vasistha is a book written by or composed by Valmiki. Was translated into Persian by Nizamuddin Panipati. Panipat is a city, Panipati, a person from Panipat. During the reign of Akbar, in 1597, Akbar instructed Nizamuddin Panipati to translate Yoga Vasishtha into Persian. Yoga Vasishtha was also translated later by Dara Sukohu. It was also translated by Jahangir, or during the reign of Jahangir. But first here, Akbar, and there's no Jahangir, there's no Dara Sukohu in the option, so it's perfectly clear. But again, a difficult factual question. Next, the world's second largest statue in sitting pose of Ramanuja was inaugurated by Prime Minister of India at Hyderabad recently. Which one of the following statements correctly represents the teachings of Ramanuja? Ramanuja was a devotee of Vishnu. He was Acharya who carried forward the tradition of Alvars. And he believed that the grace of God acquired through bhakti or devotion or worship was the only way to attain salvation. Ramanuja and Sankaracharya are often compared. Sankaracharya believed that salvation was possible through knowledge. He said, Brahm is only reality, Jagat's Mithya, Brahm Satya. But Ramanuja believed that Brahm, or this God, was Sagun Brahm, and worship or devotion was the only way out. So best means of salvation was devotion, and devotion to Vishnu particularly. Not belief in Vedic knowledge, not belief in arguments, not salvation through meditation. Meditation, this is to be attained in Yoga Sutra or Yoga school of philosophy. Logical arguments, Nyaya school of philosophy. Vedas are self-existent, Vedanta school of philosophy. Ramanuja believed in bhakti or devotion. The last question here, Prime Minister recently inaugurated a new circuit house near Somnath Temple at Virakal. Viraval is the city or the town where Somnath Temple is located. There is no place called Somnath. Somnath is the name of the temple. Viraval is the name of that place or a town or city you can see here. Which of the following statements are correct regarding Somnath Temple? Somnath Temple is one of the 12 Jyotirlingas. So one of the most important Jyotirlinga, one of the 12 Jyotirlingas was installed at Somnath. A description of Somnath Temple was given by Al-Biruni. Al-Biruni came to India along with Mahmud Ghaznavi's early raids. He described this temple as a glorious temple, site of wealth. And when that description of Al-Biruni was heard by Mahmud Ghaznavi, he attacked this temple in 1025. So Al-Biruni's description was actually the reason or the motivation or the trigger that led to the destruction of Somnath Temple by Mahmud Ghaznavi in 1025. Pran Pratishtha of Somnath Temple. Pran Pratishtha means installation of an image, installation of the deity. Pran Pratishtha of Somnath Temple, installation of presented temple, was done by President Dr. Rajendra Prasad in May 1951. This was done in May 1951. At that time, Pandit Nehru even opposed it, strongly criticized Dr. Prasad for taking part in a temple ritual activity. He was thinking that this is against the secular values of India. It was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. So 1 and 2, option is A. So these were the questions related to history, culture. Try to match them up. If you have any doubt, difficulty, you are always free to contact me. You can write your mail to me. You can call me in my office here. And I'm always here to help you. All the best. God bless you.